Super Galactic Fragilucious. Test, 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 test. Got it? Ryan Aguilar, the beast on the guitar. That's his new name. Remember, the road will still be golden, even when your highest faith in something outside yourself is shattered to pieces. The road will still be golden if your prophet's words prove altered with lies applied to serve the selfishness of our minds. The road will still be golden if aliens descend from the skies and we discover that we are born of their light through their seeds. The road will still be golden if and when the nukes begin to fly and electricity becomes a dying dream and a renewed quest for living arrives. The road will still be golden when science and the stars collide with Jesus and the Anunnaki as Nibiru meets the third eye. We're certain of nothing but our own divinity. Our place is here and now. We are golden and we are soul, but much more than that. That's where it's at. Breaking through that multi-dimensionality, divinity, infinity. Holy Triad, the Trinity. We're bringing it down now. This is our time. Time to rise. It's a benediction, coronation, divine demonstration, human soul hybrid. That's right, the whole universe is on the edge of their seat. We're expanding this universe from the inner verse, the outer breath of Mother Creation, taking this universe to places it's never been before. That's a real deal. None of this stuff going on in the world stage or even in these family dramas with friends. Nah, it's all about you. Keep living to your truth, because then the universe reciprocates, and with these energies coming down, it can be a bumpy ride or it can be a big soulgasm. Now bring in that eclipse and that new moon. Time to bring the bass down, lower the boom. Buenos días, mi hermana hermosita.
Good morning. How are you? Is the audio okay?
Sí, sí, señora. ¿Cómo está usted? We have a late start today. We're supposed to be starting 30 minutes ago, but Had a very rough night. I know we've got a guest coming in 15 minutes, a good friend of yours.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I love him so much. I'm pretty sure
Excellent.
everybody would totally enjoy it.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I'm not sure where we're going to go with it. I think we have until, I don't think the next show is for an hour and a half or maybe even 2.5 hours. I'll check in a minute because my brain's still slow.
Well, that's no problem. He said
But
if we go over, he definitely has time. And I
no,
keep
no,
totally seeing.
we'll still bring him
I,
on. Huh?
yeah. He said if it goes over and we kind of continue, he says he has time to do that.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're just
knowing
playing
how
it by
he
ear.
is, I
Yeah.
really believe that we're totally going to tap into something so expensive that you
Okay.
probably would want to continue.
Well, that's fine with me. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. So, and I got to say too, I feel like a vampire this morning. I didn't go to sleep until what was it? I went to sleep at 5 o'clock this morning, and because I went to bed with the divine goddess and put our hands together, and next thing I know, I was merging with my divine feminine. Last week it was divine masculine, so then I spent 2 hours purging. Then I went to bed at 5 and got up at 6:30, and then tried to go back to bed, and I did off and on. But it's been quite a trip, and I think that's got to be something major happening right now.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. I think right now there's a lot of stuff that's been shaken off for old programming that's been going on, that's been layered, and it's just been expansive. And then the shows since last week have been boom, boom, boom,
Mm,
drops and necessarily like, yes, hinting at what we're going through. But it's one of the beautiful things is that they spoke about that I really enjoyed in listening to all of it was overall, there is a divine connection. There is a divine connection, and moving forward with it all.
yeah,
That it's definitely going to be being put forward.
no doubt. No doubt. Somebody said something about a geomantic storm. Somebody at 5 a.m. I had a headache. One of the purposes of this show is to start the week off right and just to bring our raw, real, authentic selves. Delia has actually spent this past week creating excerpts from the previous week's shows, which we're going to work with. I don't know if we're going to get to it on this show, but I'm definitely going to be putting this stuff out there. And we're looking for anyone who'd be willing to go through the shows every week and cut out the mic drops, cut out the 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute segments that are really hot, that are good information that we can put out on our second YouTube channel, kind of like Joe Rogan does and some of these other talk shows do, where they put out little clips and then direct them back to the full episode. So I just want to say thanks to Delia for that, and you'll be seeing more of that. And in typical soulogy style, we're not totally organized; it's kind of amateurish, but I think that's what makes the whole thing click. To me, it does.
Well, yeah, that's one of the biggest things that a lot of us have been getting is that you can't really put a plan in there because 3D reality does not exist with the what's going in the flowing. You just have to ride the wave and go with it the entire time.
Mm. Now we
So
got
if spirit tells you, "Hey, tap out, you need to recharge," then we got to listen, or it's just gonna hit us in the face with it, one way or
Oh
another.
man, tell me about it. I mean, I don't even know how I'm sitting here, but I missed a day last week, and this hasn't happened to me. I missed 2 days, like 2 weeks before that, and this hasn't happened to me in a year and a half. And so I'm gonna recalibrate, and probably have to go to bed earlier. Do something, because the energy is moving faster and faster. Morgan's been talking about September 11th for almost 2 years, and saying that this was going to be a huge gateway. Uh, I'm going to see if I can get her on this week to talk about it. She has put a couple of posts up about it, but I don't know if she's been direct about it, but I know she will be. But she did put up a post saying that this is a time when we have a final opportunity to come in and 0 point anything and everything we left on the table. So it's a great time for some brutal honesty of the soul, some one-on-one with the universe, and some real clear communication. So it's a great time to do that. And I think that's what makes the whole thing click. I mean, I'm one-on-one with the universe If we don't know where our blind spots are, if we don't know where we have unconscious programming, we know we can ask directly to infinite intelligence, the Mother Goddess, Father God, whatever you want to pull from infinite intelligence, and we'll get the guidance, we'll get the signs and the omens, and we'll get the direction, and we all know that. So it's a great time to do that.
Yeah, that's one thing I would add to that. When you're asking, say please with divine and grace, because sometimes when we ask,
Is that really, what I did wrong? Is that what I did wrong?
It happens, and that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is like, please with divine and grace.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Otherwise, I would have spent a very nice,
evening. I think it also is our energetics. It's like we want answers, we want answers, we want answers, and the universe kind of answers us back in that mode. So when we say divine and grace, meaning easing us into it, so we don't get smacked in the face with it and like, oh my God, why am I seeing this? It's like, well, you asked for it. Sometimes it takes the 3D mentality of the old programs to kind of catch up a little and be like, oh, what's really happening? What's going on? That way we can start seeing the synchronization as well. I mean, overall, at least for me, it's a lot easier to navigate than to really be smacked in the face with it, because then you kind of have to write that thunderstorm that you're put into.
That's right. That's absolutely right. It's a great point. I just want to point out last night, too, I had no idea this thing was coming with this divine feminine. I've often wondered who has the perfect recipe for divine union within ourselves. I never thought I would merge with my own divine masculine. And I never thought, since I'm with my incarnated divine feminine, I never thought I would merge with my own divine feminine, but I did last night. And I got to tell you something. It actually started with a crown chakra orgasm, which I thought was really interesting, and it felt good. And then it just kept going and going and going. And a lot of information came in, and Morgan was pulling down a tremendous amount of information, powerful information that I can't remember. But I know that the field of information, wisdom, sacred wisdom, knowledge, whatever you want to call it, is widening and widening and widening. At the same time that's happening, which means that each one of us, proportionate to as much as we dip into it, is expanding, but at the same time we have this ship show going on in the world, this cartoon, and I stepped into the shit yesterday again, and I digressed, and that's the second time that's happened to me in 2 months in a very physical encounter, and I'm going to do everything I can not to do that again. For me, I can't watch some of this stuff that's on social media. I just can't do it. Maybe other people can. They can bounce back and forth from, let's say, the 3D to the 5D. I can't. I went into a store yesterday. I always put my sleeve around my neck. You know, a lot of the stores here, the signs say, please wear a mask. Some even say a mask is required. But what I've noticed is it's not enforced. So I put the sleeve around my neck and I walked in the store with Morgan. I immediately saw, it was a drugstore. I immediately saw two ladies at the checkout. One was not wearing a mask. One was wearing a mask. One of the workers behind the counter was wearing a mask. One was sitting down on the other counter with the mask down below her chin. So I didn't put my sleeve on. And I walked in and was walking around getting my stuff. And I came around the corner and there was this man who was about 4 feet from Morgan, unbeknownst to her, just staring at her. Just staring at her. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I know she's hot, but I mean, that's kind of strange. So I thought I walked past him, and then I thought, well, I better go check that out, you know. So I just walked past him just to see what she was doing, because she was watching something else, or watching, whatever she's looking at. And as soon as I walked over there, she turned and she's, motioned, I'm ready to go. So being a gentleman, I made a way for her, let her walk by. I didn't really look at this guy, and then as I was turning, he's glaring at me. and like really weird, right? And I was actually in a decent mood. I was okay. I wasn't like looking for a fight, nothing like that. I looked at him and I said, "May I help you?" And he said, "Fuck you, asshole." And I said, "Excuse me?" And then he said it again, and Morgan started laughing, like, "Oh my God," and kind of like, "Let's go." And I said, "Hang on a second." So she got between me and him, and I got around her and I told him, "Let's go outside. Fuck you," but I was wrong. I'm telling you right now. I did not serve myself. I did not serve this collective. I did not walk the talk. I came home. We didn't say anything. Morgan said, "Please, Todd, let's go." I'm like, "Fine." We checked out. We go home. It's about a 2-minute trip. We get home. I went upstairs. I cleared it immediately. So I forgave myself. I balanced myself. I took the lesson on and understood that for what it was. I merged with the guy. What was kind of weird too, I could actually see the guy's illness in him. And I'm not one of those people. I could actually see this kind of dark gray black presence in him, almost like a possession. I don't know exactly what it is because that's not my bailiwick. But anyway, I just wanted to relay that story out of all honesty, and also say that that I'm going to do the best I can, because you never say never, never to let that happen again. And to hold the line and recognizing myself where my weaknesses are, which is I can't watch police brutality videos. I can't watch all the chaos, and I've just got to be vigilant about my own energy field so that I can serve this collective and serve myself. So thank you for letting me share that.
No, of course. Well, I think it is very important for all of us to know too, that it doesn't matter how much work we've done and have cleared so much, that we're still going to continue having this lessons, karmic little tests, as well as points where we're going to be triggered or set up to be triggered, and to see how the reaction is going to be. So even if you react or don't react, that there is an energetics there that's allowing you to okay, take a step back, figure something out. I've seen it a lot too in different posts when people comment positive, negative, certain things. Polarities are being displayed. We all have that choice, and I think it's easier when we are in social media when we're like, I'm not going to engage. And you really had a real life. Boom, here it is, kind of like in social media, but in real life too. Yeah. And although you engaged, you kind of took a step back and you're able to okay, let's clear this.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's going to be important for everybody to realize, and if we find ourselves in that situation, and I think it's very good story for all of us to be okay, what can I do? We all use different tools in actions and everything else in order for us to kind of figure out if it might be taking them one day, it might take them a little bit, but it just depends on the charge that you're really willing to give. And I think that's powerful, that you're okay, I'm going to go home, clear this shit right now, and let's not take this on for further. Yeah. So that probably was a catapult for you to get into your divine energies and push through. Because I could see the wave of the energy since Thursday night really, really rise. Yeah. And I think a lot of it had to do too with the energetics and the codes that were being shared with the collective group overall. Yeah. And we can see it throughout the entire community, in posts and other things that were coming up and being shared. So it was interesting. It was interesting to see that. And I think that we're going to be pushed further out in order to get into that expansion. So I think this is what it is really. There's that little bubbling coming up, and a lot of us are feeling it. And it's really going to be another push. So I'm sure I'm going to say her name wrong. Minuti, Kimra Minuti mentioned October is going to be a giant shift astrologically. It does really support, as well as September. So there's a lot of different things that are happening there that are really going to be a push. And we all know that right now, gateways, portals, even though there is collective, we all have the capability to really push forward and open and be mindful when we open. We have to, from time to time, make sure that we're conscious about it. And we're also closing those energetics that we no longer need to keep open.
Yeah.
And be mindful of that. And it's not to put fear on anything something's going to come and attack you. It's more of like, be mindful of the energies, because not only are we opening up that energetic portal, we're also connecting, and we're also kind of spacey in a way.
Yeah.
We leave our energies everywhere, and want to make sure that we have sometimes from time to time call our energies back when we need to.
Yeah, no doubt. Your audio is excellent today. I don't know what you did, but
I messaged you that I was getting a different audio, so I was getting this one note.
Got it. Back to that thing. Oh, yeah, and here's the other thing too. As many people know, I've had a little bit of experience on the streets, and just growing up, like a wild ass. And the other thing too is it's just sense, soul sense. Because one of the things that it taught me yesterday too, I had forgotten. Rule number one on the streets is avoid all encounters like that, because you never know who you're dealing with. And the reason to me that it's exacerbated now is because there is extremely powerful energies affecting everybody on this earth. You don't know what somebody's going through, and you don't know what you're dealing with, and things could get real ugly real quick. So, yeah, I think that's, I learned my lesson. I'm glad that it was presented to me. I was a little embarrassed to be doing something like that in front of my wife, because I don't think she'd ever see me like that. And, but it is what it is, and I'm learning from it. And I just wanted to share that with my brothers and sisters. What time is Homer coming on?
He should be, he should have the link. I think he's just waiting.
Okay, well, he can come on. He can come on whenever he wants to.
I think he's waiting. Is there a way to access that? I think I sent it to him. It's the same link, right?
Yeah, it's always the same link. Always the same link, unless we go change it. But that's always going to be the same link for everybody and every show. Yeah, so let me just check the calendar real quick today, because I am a little bit discombobulated. So I know we got 2 shows today. Now we got one is going to be at 2 p.m. No, it'll be 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. So that's what, noon your time. So that's basically 2 hours and 13 minutes. Isabella Green from Sedona is going to be here. She's been on 3 or 4 times. She's a powerful lady. We hadn't seen her in a while. And then at 6 p.m. Eastern is Devon Sophia, which I haven't put these posts up yet. And I don't know who Devon Sophia is, but I know Leilani is doing a hell of a job getting people on here. We've had some great shows. Last week was incredible. It was very powerful. And for the first time, I was like, how am I going to get to the next show? Because they were just like huge downloads, But
oh, yeah. I mean, even the one that you ended off with on Thursday was powerful. I think you really hit so many aspects of a lot of different things that I even got messages from people that are watching. It's like, hey, you kind of said something. I want to expand further. So it was interesting.
Which one?
It was interesting too.
Yeah.
Can't remember the lady that wrote the book. I can't remember her name.
Mary Rodwell?
Mary, yeah.
Oh my God, she's amazing. She's amazing. Wow. And you know what the crazy thing about talking to Mary is, if you go back and look at the last 3 or 4 shows we did, she talks about these professional groups that she helped facilitate to come together privately so they could share their stories because they couldn't be mainstream. She talked about the kids she's been working with. And every time we talk to her, her story evolves at like quantum speed. Like the level of what she was talking about now, between what we probably did the last show 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, it had grown extraordinarily, both in the professionals and in their coming out or potential coming out into the mainstream. We're talking scientists, medical profession, nurses, psychiatrists, psychologists, and so on. And then this evolution with these kids, man. I mean, like the stories she has, and that she has a wind of through her work are just amazing, absolutely amazing. So yeah, I love having her on. She's one of my favorite guests.
He's having an issue. He's looking at troubleshooting, so I'm sending him a set camera.
Yeah, just tell them this link is pretty simple to use. The only thing is that the computer and or the phone has to be updated. And
Yeah.
I've only run into that one time. But other than that, we haven't had any issue. I still have Zoom as a backup, just in case, at least for a little bit longer. But
Yeah, he's trying to troubleshoot it right now.
okay, okay,
I sent him info.
we got plenty of time.
But yeah, I think it's one of those things, and that's one of the biggest things that people want to expand further. And what you said is technically what we're moving forward to. It's embodying and becoming that new human,
Yeah.
and that's one of the biggest things that's going to be pushing overall, and this is what we're working towards. And I'm so bad sometimes with names.
Oh, Mary Rodwell?
Well, no. She's Costa Rica, pregnant at the moment.
Oh, she's incredible. She's so
yeah.
cute.
So
Alicia.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I can not remember sometimes names, but I do remember details about them.
I just remember the faces and the energy mostly.
Yeah, exactly. Names sometimes it's just like, eh. But she mentioned something towards gene keys, and I did mine. And in one of them, and I can't remember which one it was, but one of them was my sole purpose was pushing forward towards embodying the new human, and this is what I've been working for. I think this overall the activation that we're really being catapulted to move forward with overall, and this is exactly. A lot of people are choosing to stay and work within the energetic realms in order to make sure that we have some guidance in how people are doing it. It's not necessarily going to be one template fits all. It's going to be a lot of different energies overall to really push forward in order to learn what we're capable of. And one of the biggest things that I had when I was meditating. Okay, says, and join button isn't working. He's having issues with join button. So technically he's actually there. Do you see anybody on there?
No. I don't see him here. No, I would see him. No, I had this problem with one other person, Sandra Mathis. And so it's either his laptop, if he's on his, tell him to try a different device. See if he can try a different device. And if not, we'll have to get him on, I guess, next week, or maybe do another special show this week.
He said that he has some camera on it.
He says what?
I'm trying to troubleshoot it with him. Close.
That'd be the only two things that I would know.
He's using his computer, so that's not
okay. So he could try his phone. The only other thing I would tell him is to get out of close all windows, go back to Messenger, click the link, and see what happens. And if it doesn't come up, then he's got an outdated operating system, or as I understand it. So, all right, it'll be all right. Everything's always perfect, always divine. So what else was there? Oh yeah, I might pull up some of these videos or some of these clips that you did. I was watching them. I didn't know what you were doing because my brain wasn't with me. You know how that goes. You're like up. I would say up there, but you're not. You're like just. Morgan was talking about it yesterday. She's like, I forget how she described it, but it's like you're there and you're present, but you're somewhere else. Now this goes back to 2 nights ago. So when we lay down 2 nights ago, we put our hands together and something really weird started to happen. And it was all across my eyes. Immediately I heard this buzzing, which I've heard before. And then I could feel across my eyes, up towards the top of my head, literally that part of my body leaving while the rest stayed. It was weird. And then she kind of fell asleep, so I kept playing with it. And different parts of my body, never the whole body, but different parts of my body, I could actually feel, and I've had out-of-body experiences, I could actually feel leave my body. And there's a certain kind of buzzing feeling thing that happens. I don't know anyone that's ever had a seizure. I've had many seizures in my life. What happens to your body when you kind of go out, when you pass out. there's this weird sensation where you just go into this total relaxation, and it was happening to me. And I started to get some information, which was basically that, when it comes to teleportation, astral projecting, bilocation, which I look at all those the same, even remote viewing, that what I was being shown for myself, and it was just for me, I'm not saying it's gospel, was that this is a little taste of what's going to happen. You're actually going to have like, in other words, if you bilocate, which Morgan and I have done with each other, your body's here and you're over there, so your consciousness is like split. But what I was experiencing or being shown was your body's actually going to go over there and your consciousness will stay here, which was really cool. And I don't know if that's how it's going to work, but that's what I was being shown. That's what I'm just sharing it here.
Yeah, it's like your aspect of you kind of lends its energy out somewhere else. I think that's happened to me once or twice, more overall. And it's kind of, there's a part of you here at this moment that's kind of in autopilot, but you're needed elsewhere where you're doing energetic work. Sometimes wherever we go or we send or higher self sends us is to grasp energy, information, and coding. And I was going to say, I was in light language with Susanna Mara's group.
Yeah.
Very, very powerful, very interesting. And through that, even when everybody was sharing and doing their light language, I got a transmission basically saying that regardless of what's happening at this moment, the human template as we know it is, they use the word reconstructed, but they didn't say it's not reconstruction like we normally use reconstruction. It's demolition of old templates. And the construction that they're saying reconstruction, it's a entire new system. And the way that they showed it to me was in geometric shapes, kind of like DNA, but very intricate and really weaved with overall energetics and sacred geometry that's being pulled through overall, weaving up into the etherics. So it's interesting. And what they're showing me when I was tapping into that, it's the energetics that are being coming down. It's more of crystalline. It's new energies that we've never seen here before in the human perspective. And I do agree with a lot of the people that have been on for the past week saying this is a ripple that's happening. It's really big in the scenes as we're in that cosmic show for all our galactic brothers and sisters watching us. That they really are trying to root for humanity and really pushing at those old timelines that are no longer being played out. Overall, we have the Lyrian Wars, the Orion Wars. That energetics are finishing off, playing off, and really going to be able to catapult us further into another aspect of what's coming in.
Right on. Yeah, I think it's whatever is happening is huge. I mean, like, we're just like getting the front end of it here or something. I don't know. All this intel and forecasting is lining up the different people's, Franco talked about integration through the middle of September. Morgan's been talking about 9/11 is the new gateway. She's been talking about this for a year and a half. She made the post I referred to earlier. She was also channeling the other night, which normally she doesn't do until we're laying down. And I was sitting next to her in the garage, and she just started going off. And she says, "Do you know star signs and all that?" I'm like, "No." And I know she doesn't, really. And then she started saying, "Hey, this is the last full moon in Pisces." And she told me what, that represented. And then also the next month is in the full moon of Aries, what that represents. And it just all fits together is what I'm saying. Everything seems to be fitting together. And that's pretty encouraging. I want to say this about Homer. If he can't get on, can you come back on at, let's see, 4, 3, 2, 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
Let me just ask.
Or he can come on with me, or we can reschedule him. And and we can test this, and if it doesn't work, we can use Zoom as a backup.
He said he also restarted his computer.
Okay. He's probably got an old version. That's the only thing that'll block it, because I talked to them extensively after what happened before. Somebody wants to know what your necklace is. Are you curious?
I had it for a while. I finally found it when I was moving. I packed it up real good. It's a crystal quartz. It actually is 2 dragons.
No, really?
Yeah.
Man, I had some stuff happen 2 nights ago. Blue beans.
He said he'd come on at 1 o'clock later.
1 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah, Pacific time.
We'll set it up. We'll set it in between the 2 shows. Wait, 1 o'clock Pacific is what? 2, 3, 4. That's perfect. Isabella's on at 2 Central. He'll be on at 4 Central, and then that last show will be on at 6 Central, so we're good.
Yeah, he said he'll try to work that one out. And
tell him, just tell him don't worry about it. We'll test it. If it doesn't work, we'll use Zoom. Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll figure it out after this show. Okay. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. I had these blue beans come in, right? They were like, they were appearing when I had my eyes closed and when I opened them. Like, I just would open them, close them, and they would still remain in form. And they gave me a bunch of messages. I'm too tired to remember now. I talked to Morgan about it a little bit. It wasn't like the kind of intel that she gets, but it was just giving me information, bits and pieces of information. And really the most important thing it was to me was that my third eye was expanding again, which again, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about what's happening, what you were just referring to. We're actually getting on, really getting on board with this. And now last night, it was last night or was it this morning? No, it was yesterday morning before this incident that happened where I dipped into the whatever. I woke up and I was given all this information, at that third eye level, at that etheric level. And then I actually started having these loops come in of the lower level, and I was being told, you can see the difference now. And you means to me, everybody, or at least it's available. So you can see the difference now. You can see what it's like to play over here, and you can see what it's like to play over here. And you can, and again, that's not just meant for me, I don't think, at all. You can actually now sustain yourself at this higher frequency, regardless of the shit show that's going on, or the perception of a shit show going on. So I thought that was highly encouraging and fit with everything that people have been talking about.
Yeah. Homer just said that his camera access keeps getting denied, but he says he has Zoom for a second option for later on today at 1 o'clock.
That'll work. We'll do that. No problema. Somebody's juicing. Sounds like somebody
what?
Juicing. Sounds like somebody's juicing.
Oh, it's the lawnmower. I'm at work today.
Cool. You're good.
Yeah, our state, normally I don't work Mondays, but our state actually gave us the green light to work back again, and I work at a hair salon. And if anybody knows what's going on in California, it's been over 2 months and a lot of businesses have been closed once again, and it's a little hard to try to figure something out. So they just give us the notice Friday night, so being here Saturday, Sunday, trying to get everybody's stuff ready so they can come in tomorrow and start working again.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So Monday shows are still good.
Good. That'll work.
Yeah. So it's right now, since flexibility, they're just outside doing
it's cool. I was just I know it sounded like my juicer.
Yeah. Do you juice often?
Do I? Well, we just got a juicer at a secondhand shop, a really nice one. And I did about 3 days of it a couple of weeks ago. I bought some really big beetroot. I love that. But that's another thing that happened too when I woke up, all through the night. Because all that happened to me last night, then I couldn't sleep. My stomach started hurting. I felt like I was going to purge, which some of that happened, and I'm just like, and I was getting, again, like my body was getting louder and louder and louder and telling me, you're coming into the road here, pal. Some changes are occurring. And I even got the impression that like some of these changes need to occur or will occur either, with ease and grace or pain before we leave for Sedona on the 16th. Because I know going to Sedona on the 16th, because of all the intel and just because of the way it feels. And I'm talking about the intel that we referred to earlier, Morgan's, Franco's, and different people, Judith Kuzel. There's other people meeting us over there, and I know the power of Sedona because I've been there. I've had my clock cleaned there. I've watched other people's clocks get cleaned there. I don't intend to have my clock cleaned again while I'm there. I intend to maintain the highest frequency I can with all humility. And I think that my body's telling me, you can make this easier. And there is a direct relation to your chemistry and your experience because the body's changing so quickly. And it's no longer that dense, just strictly that dense carbon-based body. It's now transferring to a light body. So to answer your question, I'd really like to do it, and I'm looking forward to trying it. I just have this thing about, all this food's in the refrigerator. When you run on a shoestring with a bunch of kids,
yes.
I just
that's one of the biggest things that I had to deal with. Like, okay, I'll start as soon as I'm done with all this stuff because it's about waste and everything else. And I think it's good that your body's really calling you to like do a shift. And I think we've all seen those overall that eventually people that have done those, and then there's breatharians that can just sustain with just that. I've only met one that did one time for 6 days. And it was interesting just to get that overall. It's kind of like spiritual fasting to really get that clear level. And I think that's good. I mean, it happened to me when I was called to do detox. It's the energetic body and the 3D overall, just to clear out completely, to take on that newer energy. And it happened to be and aligned with when I was becoming attuned to Reiki 1 and 2. I did those together since I always worked with energetics. Overall, they're like, oh, you have enough energy. You can totally deal with this. And it was an interesting overall night. I lucid dream all the time. So when that happened, it was like the initiation. Something totally just happening clear when doing that process. But at night, it was the initiation to the violet flame and the wisdom ray, which I talk a lot about, wisdom ray, the golden overall energy. To bring forth. So that's one of the biggest things that I've been working towards. So no matter what, I always try to bring wisdom to it, whatever situation or the smallest thing, there's always wisdom being given to us in each and every moment. So it's amazing to hear that. Ooh, I like that question, Patricia.
Who was it?
The one before that one. Yeah.
Yeah, we have another one too.
Did you... Yeah, I think that's a really good one. Did you speak of your relationship? Did you call your wife vibrationally, or did you meet?
Well, it's complicated because, there's the past, present, and future all kind of get intertwined. And you find out more of it as you go down the linear timeline. But the way it happened was I saw her in March of 2015 online. And soulogy had about, 6,000 people in it at the time, 8,000. And so so I would go to her page. She didn't have very many pictures. She's one of those people who just didn't have any pictures. So I'd have to get these little pictures and then blow them up. But there was something, I recognized something in her, but I still wasn't attuned enough. So 6 months go by. I was curled up in a fetal position at 3:33 in the morning. And I jumped off the couch and I said, I need her now. And as soon as I said that, she sent me a message because I'd sent her a message saying, do you want to join soulogy, which I never did to anybody. I was just coming on to her. And as soon as she did, I said, I need to talk to you. And she said, I know. And then we merged, and that's how that happened. She got a visit from me, I think about a week to 10 days before the initial encounter. I came to visit her, and of course, I was not conscious of it. I don't think I was, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's how that happened. Thanks for the question. Shanine asked, what does that mean to get your clock cleaned? It means to get your ass handed to you on a platter. Yeah, that's what it means, okay? And I have a story for the last time I went to Sedona. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying it. But I ended up sitting on a curb in a hotel parking lot at 3:30 in the morning, handcuffed, and did absolutely nothing wrong. Um, Absolutely nothing wrong. I got locked out of the hotel. I gave him my credit card and my ID, and the guy was just an asshole. And it was a test. Obviously, it was a test, just like the two that I referred to earlier, because I did have a big thing with the cops. And so anyway, the guy wouldn't give me my key, and I told him to f off. And I said, "I'll call the cops." He says, "I'll call them." Go ahead. Well, the cops came and they wanted to go wake Morgan up. And I'm like, this is bullshit. I presented my ID, but the bottom line is I created it. I told the cops off. I had a YouTube moment. I was wrong. I perpetuated that lower vibrational, egotistical bullshit. And it's the same thing that happened yesterday. And the same thing happened when I pulled out this driveway 2 months ago. I just have to be very, very conscious of what I put in front of me, because I get a charge. And it's not even a charge, it's actually just sustaining that frequency within your own experience. So I'm tired of being a rebel and tired of fighting, and I'm here to do something else, and it feels good. So I'm not going to do that anymore. That's what it means.
It's really giving you a chance to be a warrior of the light in aspects. I know that it's being used overall, but to embody all aspects of yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, and really come in a way of like saying, okay, I'm really going to be stepping in with the higher self, with the higher aspects to come through no matter what, in a new way. And I think overall is we have to switch that brain patterning in our minds. Eventually we're going to be moving forward to that.
Well, I think a big thing for me has been, and again, the information that comes in for me isn't like with Morgan. I mean, hers is like you could literally dictate, like what's happening. But for me, it's more feelings, and I get it through my body. I don't really get, a lot of times when she's channeling, she's speaking, my body's getting all the information. I don't have to explain it, and it's less of a comprehension by the brain. But anyway, one of the things that I know that's part of my mission is on, like say, on the front lines of knocking down the energetic doors, expanding to a purer, truer divine masculine. And that merging that happened last night was huge, because that feminine power that is me within myself really came in, and it really changed everything. So I think what's been happening for me is I spent so many incarnations representing the oppressed, getting my ass kicked, being on the losing end of a ethically and morally correct or righteous minority. The oppressed, those that were being oppressed, fought a lot. I know that. I've been watching. I watched Robin Hood last night with Russell Crowe. I watched Outlander. I watched Vikings, and I get a lot of little snippets of, beating someone's ass and getting my ass beat, and killing people and getting killed. So a lot of that, I think, is going to rest, and I think the only way to do it is not to engage. And it's been a really long, hard trip to do that. Thank God for Morgan, and thank God for, having, enough wherewithal to hear the universe, so that most of it's been done through ease and grace, But I think that's why that's happened to me. But I really feel like I'm in a different place now. I really do.
Well, yeah, definitely. I think overall with everything that's been going on, it's just like, ooh, level up, level up, level up. And there's infinite amount of energetics that are being there that are in full support. And it's just really about surrender. And when we surrender overall and we flow, we'll see a lot more of the magic being unfolded to us, and being with more just gratefulness to everything. And even when we react and we give that back up and see more or less, how do I go from here? And we commune with our higher spirit. I think that's a lot of it too. The integration of the higher divine self is coming in. And it's not shaming the ego, but it's really transforming the ego into a triad of that. It's the human self, the true soul, the higher self, and then the ego merging together overall in unity, not separation, not polarity. And evidently it's going to give us in shedding away those old programs that we've mentioned before that a lot of us were born into. Yeah. And a lot of it is that we chose that overall in order to transform that. Just like we chose our family, our connections and everything else, and we're linking up to one another and really pushing us forward to really move past a lot of different things that are happening. And, you know, we say this is astrological chart when you had your chart done and they're saying, well, there's a lot of stuff going on. You choose overall where you're at and what are the challenges when we show up and how we're going to show up. So it's interesting. So the full moon coming up is going to be in Pisces, you mentioned?
Yeah, she said, oh, I'm going to get this wrong. But she said, so she said that, well, it's completion. It's final clearing. I know that that last month, she wrote a post on this. I'll pull it up in a minute. But she was talking about the opportunity to clear things in an unprecedented way this particular month. Okay. There's also the equinox on September 22nd, which I know that's got to mean something. You know, that's whatever that means, because I don't know what that stuff means. She did mention that next month is, and again, she's not a star sign person. She just was getting this, and I'm the witness.
Yeah, the intel. Yeah. You mentioned that she's a Pisces too, so her energetics are really in tune. I only say that because my rising and my moon are both Pisces, so I always get confused as a Pisces. So I'm very grounded and yet very, how they say, out there. My antennas usually point out. So I totally understand Piscean energy with people, and I totally understand where she's coming from overall. I mean, I'm only learning all this stuff as I had people bring it up in my field, and I was like, oh, that's interesting to learn, as well as personality traits and everything else and what makes a person what. So it's interesting to bring all that, and it's really overall going to be pushing us forward into a little bit of everything. So, I mean, right now, there's a lot of people finding other things than trying to connect, which is helpful. And this is why we sometimes in our groups, we post out little memes in order to kind of break down a lot of the energetics that we're going through, in order to say, hey, you're not the only one. This is really happening. Yeah. I mean, sometimes they feel like they have nobody. And saying, hey, I had an experience. And welcome to the club. You're okay. You're initiated. Come on in. Yo. Basically, I from time to time I get messages regarding our galactic brothers and sisters and what that means. And I can only give somebody information based on what I know and how I feel and what I've come through. And I've always told them, like, hey, your connections and whatever experiences might be very different. And that also, same thing happens with my brothers and sisters. So my first connection was with the Palladians and experience. I had a sister where she thought it was a dream, and three of them were talking about it. They realized that it was an actual encounter that the three had at the same time, and it was all through perspective. So one finally getting that information, kind of like that Maya of the illusion that they kind of put that, just kind of fell apart, and that full recognition of, oh shit, this really happened. Right. But hers was with the mantis. And for her, well, for her, it was very traumatic that she still remembers the sounding of them and everything else. Yeah. And the smell and everything else. So I told her too, I was like, overall, it's our impressions as a human mind that kind of freak out. There's a lot of layers in between all that. And that really make a bigger difference. And when one family has an experience, it normally is tracking. And I'm like, this usually comes in from my dad's side, that they come in trying to see more or less what's the advances energetically that are being done to us, as well as what's going on. Keeping tabs, as they call it.
Keeping what?
Tabs? Keeping tabs, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Keep going. Keep going.
I'm like, oh, I didn't think I was gonna go ahead and talk about this stuff. Usually I keep this from a UFO group.
Well, no. Let's go back to this. I just want to. I want to go back to this short. Because I just happened to see a couple of comments on this short post Morgan did yesterday. Yesterday, 3:11 a.m. Intel received for self is that September's opportunity for zero pointing, collapsing, any last vestiges of, oh, that's what it was, of victim consciousness. I am a fractal of collective consciousness. So that was the big deal. It was zero pointing victim consciousness. Imagine a world where there are no victims. Now, one of the things that jumped out at me on this was there's a beautiful young lady that's in Sedona by the name of Rebecca Magic. Well, last time I was there, I got to go to her house. She has a wolf for a pet, a black wolf by the name of Anubis, and two beautiful children, a beautiful husband. I didn't get to meet. I'm hoping to meet him this time. But she's real big into, is it the Kabbalah? The Hebrew, the old Hebrew?
Yeah.
And she says in a comment, I'm very aligned with this message. And she's got great intel, by the way. If you ever catch her lives. Very aligned with the message of the Hebrew month of Elul we have just entered. So there's another validation of what we're getting into. And then the other thing I remember too, I want to go back to this, to what you were talking about, because there's a reason for it. But when we were in the garage and she started doing this channeling, she then started talking about October. Of course, we know that 10 is a new beginning. And she said the full moon is in Aries in October. And that has to do with some things that I won't remember. But one of them was leadership. And I don't know why that's jumped out at me. Leadership, and I don't know what the other word would be, but almost like successful collaboration, something like that. And so I on a personal level, I was like, I kind of got that. I don't know. I think later on we can maybe expound on it a little bit. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out to what I was thinking about it. But tell me about the Tell me about the UFO group. What's your experience been? I don't know. Just what's the latest thing happening?
So there's MUFON, of course. Everybody that is been doing that. There's MUFON, and then between MUFON, there's a lot of different ones. So I met overall through my meetup group, which right now we're doing mostly online since there are a lot of closed downs, not letting us have indoor. They've closed doors for us, so this is the only alternate way was to have meetup was online on Zoom.
Right on.
We've had speakers. We have a lot of people come through to us, and even when speakers and everything else, even with the things I get a lot of funny information from that. And this is where I met Homer, which I do hope everybody tunes on. And if we do it here or we do it on Zoom, we'll figure that stuff out. But
it'll be the same to them. Yeah. It'll be
it's my galactic soul brother who the first time I met, he is an amazing artist, dancer, generational shamanistic healer. This means that his people have been working through with star brothers and sisters for a long time. And it's just very beautiful. His energy that he carries is very amazing. So when I met them, it was just UFO experiences. And I was like, well, yeah, I've had some, might as well go figure it out. I know where I am. I know who I am. Let's see what this is about. So just seeing there and just realizing, oh my God, we're all star brothers and sisters. And while we're in there, their energetics of the room kind of amplifies. Mm-hmm. And he also does this beautiful pyramid. So when I walked in there the first time, he had the top of his pyramid on there, and the energy amplified and the connections and all the energetic codes that were happening were there. And when I got to talk to them about my experience, which basically is the Palladian one and little snippets of it, and hearing everybody else's information, it was just a comfortable setting to come in and talk about these. I've gotten messages before saying, hey, this didn't happen. And I always says, well, check out MUFON, check out your local thing, find people that are also in that same frequency to be like, you're not going crazy, you're actually seeing these things. So we have from different topics, from conspiracy to Q to a bunch of different things. Overall, in the end, we kind of leave that at that. We all pick up what we need to pick up, and we kind of full circle with like amplification of the energetics overall. So after that, we normally go to dinner, and whoever goes into connection, it's just continuing. So when I met Homer, I told him, and I was like, I see you, and I see like the commander. There's another aspect of that. He's like, oh, you're picking up my person that he works with. And we were talking, and I was like, I feel like I know you. Like, we've had so many lives together. And he's like, yeah, I get that. And he told me a word, because he's actually linguistic in his language of his star people, that he's a beautiful, amazing soul. He does some slightly some art. He's like a zoologist in the etheric. So he knows beings and everything else. So whenever I have an encounter, I don't know what that is, I tell him, hey, this is what happened. Here's a picture of it. And he's like, oh, okay. Similarly, I know what that kind of is and everything else. So it's amazing to have that as well. And he told me a word of it, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but to me, how my guide told me was Nesfrati. And that one meant more like somebody that you know as a soul, many lives together, like a soul brother sister partnership there that has been there through time. And this is why the words now that we're coming in with vocalizing, they're not going to mean anything, because the expansion of it, just like light language. Yeah. Some word in light language has so much multidimensionality of it that carries so much deep overall code in it. Yeah. That when you hear it once and you hear it again, you're going to hear aspects of it that you're grasping, and it's anchoring within the energetics, just like a crystal does. It's the same thing as light language. It shows energetics and it amplifies the human auric field and integration of the 9 bodies that we have. Yeah. Not only in the physical, but as well as the etheric. Yeah. So overall, it's been meeting with the group overall. It's just energy code exchange. Yeah. If it's on Zoom or if it's on people in real life, that's really what we're coming up about. And this is what we say when we get together. We kind of let our little galactic self show and feel comfortable to be like, well, this is who I am.
Give me an example. And on a child we'll get to that question. Anybody else got any questions? We'll get to those too. Go ahead. Give me an example. So you mean it's like that you in an environment where everybody might do light language, or is there any other way?
We could, but most of the time it's directed.
Is there other ways where you are able to be your galactic self? Like an example, I'm just trying to picture that.
Well, see, like let's say if I'm at work, somebody comes in, I literally just shift gears. Yeah. Right now, before even this, there was definitely a lot of different things coming in. So I had the Andromedas came in last night. They're still pressing with me. Arcturians are usually with me at all times. And the Syrians came in, and they were merging together, and they were showing me like overall connection. So I'm usually always on. But it just depends if when it comes to work and everything else, as soon as I'm off of here, I'm just going to go work mode. And that gear is going to shift. And then slowly, what kind of in a way. It's just going to pull back a little and focus on that while other things are happening, since I have like ADHD. A lot of things can happen. Overall, I mean, I'm really good at multitasking, and overall, it's just those aspects of me are doing other things while I'm here doing this. So that's kind of how the galactic self kind of comes in and helps out in a way. Yeah, I got you. Being in over on a setting, I mean, we're able to pick up a lot more and being amplified in tennis.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think if you had a group of people who came together that were similar like you, I think you would definitely have you would have an expanded field to pull from, a localized, field to pull from, no doubt. Yeah, there seems to be something coming in. People talk about, first contact or, whatever, first contact, it becoming more of a collective experience. It seems like it continues to be an individual thing. Uh, it's almost mind blowing to think that we live in a world or a realm that has had so much activity in the sky and otherwise, and yet it's still debated. Something just doesn't add up there. And for me, it's like we're not gonna show ourselves like that. We're not going to
Yeah,
do that for you. This is this. You might have the individual visitations, like a lot of us have, and I think it actually goes more. It goes further than that. It goes like, like to see somebody else morph, to see yourself morph, to have certain memories and recall. Um, this is all us, and I really think that's going to be another part of what happens is, you're going to be sitting with somebody and or on the screen. We had that lady Thursday because I took Friday off. The lady Thursday, what was her name? And I ended up doing sacred.
yeah, which is, oh my God, it was
Yeah,
amazing. And
but,
I
but
think it's one of
she's.
those giant pushes.
Did you see her disappear? She disappeared
Yeah.
from the screen like 3 times. So the first time I thought, oh well, and then I saw it again, and then I saw it again. And a lot of times things will happen on the show, and I don't know if other people can see it, but somebody had made the comment. So I mean, you can say, "Oh, that's just a glitch" and all that, but you know what? I've been doing this too long.
Well, yeah,
Glitch.
I mean, even like last time when we were on, before the light language came in through me, my computer, just boom,
Hmm.
the
Yeah,
energetics of it. And I think it's overall our energies of it and her energy that she was amplifying and opening up
yeah,
because she activated something in you.
I know.
And we've mentioned it before, and a lot of people was like, "Come on, Todd, do it." You finally said, "Okay, my spirit's saying go for it."
Yeah, she was a perfect fit. Anna Chowdhury says, "Can you please tell us about Merlin? What it represents for you, Merlin?" Um, I don't. I know when Morgan woke up, she went to get a hands-on therapeutic treatment. I forget what it's called. She was having some lower back problems, and as soon as the lady put her hands on her, Merlin appeared. I mean, appeared like with the two eyes and the third eye, right? And when I met her, that when I merged with her that night, the next morning I woke up, and this was September the 4th, 2015, and I called her, and I told her, I said, I need to talk to you on the phone. She's like, I don't talk to anybody. And I said, well, I need to talk to you. And so as soon as I heard her voice, I heard, this is Merlin's daughter. I'm like, I don't know anything about Merlin. Then fast forward to 2016, Lionsgate, my whole room in the old studio filled up with like 20 beings. And there was all kinds of beings. There was the Hathors, Amazons. There was, the traditional ones, Jesus, Magdalene. And there was Merlin. And I remember because I was doing my thing in the studio, and I remember saying to them all, hey, Merlin's drinking. And they said to me, Merlin can do whatever he wants to. So that night, after I had that merging with them, or whatever that was, I went outside. I went to there was a cemetery next to the townhouse complex that I lived in, and I would walk that cemetery. There was a bayou there, and I had a lot of documented experiences there, a lot of spirit walks there in the early soulogy days. So I went out to the cemetery, and I took a different turn. Well, there was an animal. There was a big swamp rat that told me, go this way. So I went that way. And I walked to this tree, and there was this pond, and I saw freaking Lady of the Lake thing come out of the thing. I thought, holy shit, what's going on? Then I stepped on something, and it was a stick, and I heard pick it up. And I knew it was Merlin. But at the same time, you know how that stuff goes. I was like, man, am I just saying I smoked a little too much weed, or something happened? Did that really just happen in the studio? And I'm walking back, and so I had to walk through the courtyard of the townhouse complex, cross over a driveway to go to my back door. So I'm crossing over the courtyard, and it's about 1 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden I hear this weird noise, like behind me. It was like going, I'll see if I can do it. Like this really weird noise I'd never heard before. And I knew it was an animal. Well, there was a bunch of leaves on the ground, and I thought, well, it's either a snake or it's coming from this tree, right? So I walk up to the tree, and there is an owl that's standing on a branch and looks right at me. Now I'm about say it's about 9 feet high, and I'm about 4 feet from it, from the tree. I mean, I'm that close. And so as soon as I looked at it, I heard it tell me, I'm Merlin, and everything that happened tonight was real. Because they were telling me all this stuff like, hey, you're really pissing off the dark. We love the way you dance and rap and, whatever. It was really kind of a humorous kind of encounter. I never had a Lionsgate impression before. So the next thing I know, he starts making that noise, and he starts dancing in the fucking tree. True story. He starts dancing in the tree this certain way, and he's basically telling me, I'm imitating you. And so this went on. We talked a little bit more. I'm thinking, what the hell? And then two more came and stood right next to him, each to one side, and they all started dancing and singing. And I'm thinking, what the F, So I went home, and I woke up the next morning, and I would sleep in the studio, and I'd have my phone next to me, because a lot of times I'd pick the phone up and just do a live, coming out of Dimension. So I flipped the phone on, I turn on the news feed, and the first thing I see, and the last time I've ever seen it, was a fucking GIF, or whatever you call them, a GIF.
Yeah.
It was an owl dancing on a branch, and I've never seen it since.
You can make this stuff up. You can make this stuff
So my experience with Merlin that was like that, and then over Lynn, our beloved sister who transitioned, she was really big with Merlin. She gave us a painting of Merlin, which I had in the RV when we had it. I spent a few nights in there alone when I needed to be alone, and Merlin would come in, and I don't know. He always comes in, and when he comes in, it's a very different kind of experience. It's always about alchemy, magic. He removes some of the mystery, and the other huge encounter, and this is why I pay attention to Merlin, because I really don't pay attention to things as external. But one night, and we've talked about this before, so I'll make it brief. So the second time Morgan came before we got married, like in the third or fourth day, we had all this extraordinary stuff happen. So we're laying in bed, and then I heard a tone, because I hear tones. I said, Morgan, they're coming. And I heard it again. I'm like, they're almost here. I'm like, they're here. So ended up being, just fast forward, we kneel in front of each other on the bed at their direction, holding hands. We both are experiencing the same thing. We both see the cosmos appear from our torso up, right? And we saw our DNA in each other first. We didn't talk about this till the next day. And then we watched each other morph into different incarnations, on planet, off planet, in the universe, off the universe, all different types of things. One of hers had two heads. There was just all kinds of stuff. And you also knew who they were and what you were to them. Like in some of those lives, I was a spirit guide to her, or whatever the case was. And so anyway, what ended up happening at the very end of this 45 minutes, and all of a sudden I see another head behind her. And I thought, well, she's got another one with two heads. But then the head moved to past the bed, and it looked like Santa Claus. And it was a translucent being.
Wow.
So it was a humanoid translucent being. And this was right before we were going to get married a month later. We didn't know we were going to get married because I'd asked her 100 times and she told me no. And then about 2 weeks later, I walked in the kitchen of my friend's house, and Morgan says, oh, we're getting married. I'm like, okay. So what had happened was he walked out from behind her. Then I realized there's another person. And I said, "Who the fuck is that?" She just started laughing, nervous laughing. And as soon as I said that, I realized who it was. And he looked at me and he nodded his head and he, like, without talking, he said, "I'm giving you to her. I'm giving her to you." And then he turned and he walked right through the wall and walked out. So that
Wow, that's powerful. Maybe
that's my thing with Merlin. She asked about what does he represent. To me, Merlin is, you know what, and maybe you can add to this, because I remember the intel I was getting when like so many of us, when we first wake up, it's like very visual. You have apparitions. I mean, it's just more concrete. That's why a lot of people say, "Hey, it doesn't come in like it used to. Something wrong with me. Where'd everybody go?" But I remember being shown that there was like 13 strands. That, like, there was 12, and then they said there's a 13th one, and it's like the hidden tribe or something like that. I can't remember. But when I asked what are these 12 or 13, it's like what it was explained to me was when the universe took that first breath, when the mother took that first breath, there were 12, 13, and don't ask me what it is, but let's just say 13 family heads of family, or however you would put it. One of them, like, they were like this. They were like Saint Germain, Kuan Yin, Jesus, Merlin, and that's how I always understood it. Like, everything came from these original lines, and I always understood that she came from that one. Morgan came from that. Merlin's, I came from Yeshua, and that's how it went. And I don't know, everything's metaphorical, but have you ever got anything like that where there's like 12?
Yeah, I think for me, when my connection started, when I was married, my ex-husband had bought a book, and it was towards aura and everything else. So he was slightly kind of like me, but his focus was more on money and everything else, amplification of certain things. And I think that's where kind of things just split apart. Regardless of that, I got that, ended up in my possession, and I kept that book. I read it, and I told that last time I was on Denise Chetwig's show. She says, I kept it, and I read it, and it was too Christian for me in religious aspect that I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Went with my roommate, who is my best friend, went to meet Shasta and everything else. We went there, and when we first went into a store, we just like, oh, I need to go here. I got pulled to a book and couldn't drop. I was like, oh, I guess I have to get it. It's calling me. And it was the Ascended Masters, and we were in Shasta. So I was like, okay. And I tried leaving it down. I was like, do I really need to get it? And I was like, nope, you need to get it. So I ended up purchasing it and reading through it. And within all of it, it gives you the breakdown of the angelic overall. I can't remember what it was, but it's overall teachings of the Ascended Masters and what the race that they represent. And as I understand it, Saint Germain, Kuan Yin, and all those are from the Violet Flame. Okay. So then we have Jesus, and then Michael. They're from the blue ray, from the second ray, that is the throat, speaking truth, and as well. And then we have all those aspects that within that Kohans that I've mentioned too. I think somebody asked one time in one of the lives, and I started typing in all the energetics of the earth chakras and what they're connected to, because there's also special energetics that they kind of, it's kind of like Mount Shasta, the Temple of Telos. And then I went back and I read that book again, and it was in a different perspective. And I really understood it now, the Christ consciousness. And with that, the number 12 connected with that, and the 7 rays as well always came at me with that, and all the other material that I kept being brought to really was teaching overall all those other things that are really amplified to the connection of what's going on and the energies that are lending themselves in order to help lift humanity. So a lot of people, even with us all, we kind of rested a little bit of those energetics with the rays. That's why I say with Reiki, I didn't understand it then, but now I understand it, that I was being initiated to the violet flame as well as to the wisdom ray. And I've had so many different experiences with it.
Yeah.
And to learn more or less those energies that are merging and coming up that are related to that, it's just Ganesha is also wisdom. A lot of people think it's obstacles and breaking barriers and everything else. So Ganesha is always one of those strong ones, energetics that always come through to me.
Yeah.
So it's very beautiful that those energies come up, just like Merlin comes up for you. And I mean, I mentioned to you one time, I think you're going through something massive.
Yeah.
That you popped up in my energetic field when I was doing energy work in the night before. And I was saying, I saw you merge with Merlin.
Really?
It says you were Merlin, and at the same time you were
I remember that.
You were Todd, but I saw you merge with Merlin. And you were just come out of being like out there, and you were going to do a show.
I was in the cauldron.
So yeah, so I mean,
I get a big charge out of. Well, I watched that Robin Hood last night because I wanted to try to watch something that was lighter than I don't know. We decided to do it, and that's the one with Russell Crowe. I'd never seen it before, and so it's a story before Robin Hood becomes Robin Hood. It's like the I guess the fictional history or something like that. And so it's England and France and the war between England and France, 1100, 1200 AD. And but there's something about Avalon, and there's something about I guess Sherwood Forest which is part of England that I don't know. There's just something about it that's always. I think there was. I think it all occurred. I know it did.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Atlantis. I really do.
Those energetics are there. Just because history has written, it's what we're being fed, doesn't mean that our history never really was.
Right.
Why would the ancients talk about certain things if it wasn't within something that happened? I mean, we do know that those. I mean, if you look at everything else that's been happening and everything else, even ancient cultures, like the Mayans that got taken away and ascended further. How do you say the civilization was there? How can we tell that there's landing strips that are not seen from the very high up above before that was even shown? There's definitely those connections that are there. And we've always had those influences with star brothers and sisters. I mean, they gave us those hints. Absolutely. And I personally know that from my experience where I was shown through meditation, where I saw the pyramids, and then I morphed into a lioness being, and it was showing me I've been there. My prior life to that, because I had a connection with the Egyptians, was not human. I was in like, hey, I'm helping humanity, in that decision where they finally decided to split because they saw the polarities being used and abused, where we said to humanity, we're going to shift out of this dimension because you're not holding that high frequency. And the energy that is presented there, because there's a lot of influences there, was more of power. Yeah. So it shifted away, and I was one of those beings that I was showing. And then last night before sleeping, when you sent me a message, we got an information towards being Hathor and everything else.
Really?
Yes. It was interesting. It was the expansion of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, the Egyptian, Avalon, yeah, all that stuff. Somebody wanted to know, what was the Ascended Master book you were talking about?
I have to look it up and take a picture of it after. I can't remember. I know it's the one that's on there that is crap. She's also has meditation wisdom cards on there too, with the Ascended Masters. I have to look it up and post it up on below the link to this, or as well as soulogy.
Right on. That'll work. So yeah, so all that stuff, and somebody said, gotta love the Hathor. Yeah, the Hathors I saw were pretty funny. Yeah, they were like, "Hey TL, let's talk." TL was trying. We were trying to hook up last night. Didn't happen because she's going to be doing a show with us. Um, yeah, the Hathors were really funny. They came in. All they did was dance. They had these big cones on their head. These big cones, and they were tall and lanky.
Well, which what I understand too, they have several different beings on there. So there's also the Hathors with like feathers, as well as
Oh, I don't
the
know.
ones with the sun disk on their head. It's very interesting. I've seen so many different
Yeah,
connections and versions of them.
yeah, that's very
Uh,
true. Yeah, the whole Egyptian and pyramid thing, the experiences I've had in and around the pyramids have been, there has been a lot of different types of like Thoth looking, reptilian looking. I've had a lot of different, but you're right about that. Good point. Is the author's name Laura Powers?
I really can't. I'm really bad with names, but it's purple. I can tell you that. It's
Yeah.
very interesting. But overall, I'll get that information and post it up so
Um,
everybody can have access to that if they wish to, or they feel pulled to. It's not necessarily something that. People, if they want it, they want it. If they don't, if they don't need to, it's one of those biggest things that I always say. We will be pulled to those energetics that we're meant to, and that was one of those that really like take me home with you. That have a lot to tell you, in order to expand further. And then we always get those other types of books, like Dolores Cannon too. She's one of those that when she writes, it kind of unlocks a little memory bank of like, oh my God, that happened
yeah,
to me.
yeah,
And I know her work is expansive and it gets messy and it gets like very, very into quantum and convoluted aspects of what the universe is, because the universe is expansion and it's not linear in what we think. And this is what we're also pushing away from, time. So whenever we even say, hey, we're going to show up in this time or whatever, there's no more 3D. We're
that's
just
right.
like, boom. And even when we have experiences, it can be 15 minutes and you've been gone for a really long time, in aspects of what really happened. I would think it was Wednesday morning, 12 a.m. I fell asleep and I had an experience with energetic beams and everything just happened to be in my eyes. And I felt like my eyes were open. So I opened my eyes and boom, there it is in front of me. Energies bathing me like if it was fire, and just nothing but beautiful light and energy. And I can see within that, there is in the center of it, it went from a being to an eye, like the eye of Horus, to a lot of different things opening up and then just getting blasted with so much energy and a lot of love.
Right on. Hey, you know what?
We're
Rob,
running out of time. You have to.
are we? Do you have to go?
No, I have somebody out there that I didn't expect to come in.
Well, if you need
But
to go, you need to go. It's okay. I was just going to say,
well,
Rob Eden just sent me a note. He's in Nottingham, just a few few minutes away from the forest. So I'm going to send him a note and tell him to come on. Are you there? Are you gone?
no, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah.
Let me just mute this and do
You
that,
need
and
to,
just
you need to do.
no,
You do.
it's okay. I don't have to deal with that
No,
person, but they just need to
you do
ask.
what you need to do. Let's
If
see
see if he
here.
comes on.
Yeah, right on. So, okay. Hathor is very good for calling in good sex with your partner. Michael, behave yourself. Voyagers by Ashana Dean is full on galactic information. We are, one of the things we're going to do is, I've been wanting to have a session, like oh, there you are, you're back. Like a QHHT session on the camera. Actually have it, aired. So a part of the soldier team's Marilyn Biggers, and there's a whole story behind that. And anyway, she became a BH, Beyond Quantum Healing, BQH practitioner through a wonderful lady by the name of Candace, who started it, who worked under and for Dolores Cannon for many, many years.
and then developed her own thing. And so they've actually recorded it, I believe, yesterday. They're going to share that with us soon, an edited version, and I'm excited about that. So, when you brought up Flores County, here's Rob Eden. Let's see what's happening. I can't see us. Rob, can you turn your video on?
Yeah,
Rob,
hold on.
he's in Sherwood Forest. How cool is that?
Hold on. I'm trying to get it to go.
All right. I'm gonna.
Well, at least the audio is working. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
It's
we're going to see the
more
full.
cameras. So.
Hang on. I'm going to take him off the screen till his video's up. I can see when he comes on. Okay, so yeah, so we're gonna. That's pretty cool. Oh, there was a couple other things. One, I don't know if you caught it, but Andy Hanna said he would love to do the video editing for the shows.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we could probably use 2 or 3 people to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it would be great that it would be like Monday post after this show, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's like 5. That way, it's not a lot of work for one person.
Yeah, that'd be great. And then we can put those excerpts out on the, and we can talk about more of that later. This lady's name is Candace Craw Goldman. And I met her the other day. And that's the lady that started BQH, Beyond Quantum Healing. Okay. And she had a pretty interesting story. And so that was cool. And anyway, I think what's going to happen is we're going to do like a 15 to 20 minute interview with her, put it on the front end of the broadcast, and then put the actual session behind it, and then maybe have a Q&A afterwards. So people will be able to see the bulk of a session like that. And we're open to that stuff too. Delia's going to do her Kudandata stuff for us one day. You didn't hear that. She didn't hear that. I just told them you're going to do the Kudandata stuff one day. Rob, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you get video? No video?
It's not working. I don't know why.
Okay.
I'll try it again.
See if you can get it to work so we can take a look at it. Yeah, he's in. Thank God I was looking at the other computer screen. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we can't make it work, we can't make it work. Broder Bilal. I know he changed his name. What is it? Let me see. Bilal Kauser Kayani. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about, Delia? Broder Bilal?
Me?
Yeah. Can't
Yeah,
get it?
I know him, yeah. I've heard of him. Hold on.
Oh, there you are.
There we go.
Bring your face a little closer. No.
Man, you've got me in a little window.
Huh? No, yeah, but there you go. We can see you there.
Yeah.
There you are. So, no, I'm not in Maryland. I'm in Arkansas. Thank God I'm not in Maryland. It's cold up there. What's up, Rob? How far are you from Sherwood Forest?
Probably like 10-minute walk up the road.
Yeah, right.
I'm right here, yeah.
Have
Woods all around.
you had any experiences out there?
Not really. Sometimes I see like people riding horses from back in the day, but nothing. There's an old abbey, Rufford Abbey.
Oh, there's an area.
Yeah, it's Rufford Park. There's lots of little parks and woods, and it's a lot of paranormal activity.
Yeah, I bet.
Especially from the Abbey. Like you hear a lot of ghost stories, and you don't go there at night.
I want to go
Don't.
over there to that Abbey and get some of Friar Tuck's honey whiskey. That's what he said. Because he raised the bees, right? When those guys came in, they were like, "Hey, you got anything to drink?" He's like, "Yeah, I got some honey whiskey."
I don't know. We had like a big sort of centre for tourists, and it was done up like it looked a bit like Jurassic Park, to be honest. But they took all that down and they just built this. It's almost like high-rise building in the shape of a letter A or something. It's horrible. Well, the woods are alright, yeah, they're just up the road, and then there's another set not far away, and you go to the city, there's lots of trees and parks and
So that's in what part of England is that? I mean,
it's in Nottingham, that's basically the middle.
oh, Nottingham.
Right.
Okay, that's right. Wow, that's tricky, man. You know, I was thinking about that last night watching that movie, which I had no idea it was going to be about what it was about.
Mm.
In England, that area, the British Isles, or that part of the world, including France and whatever's around it, has been a huge, huge part of our recent history. Like a huge, gigantic. So there must be major, major portals and such over there. Gotta be.
I think
So, yeah,
the US is way ahead than most of us.
yeah.
You don't have the history that ties you down as much as it does here. You go, man, honestly, you go to certain places in this country and it's just not good. There's a big difference in energy from the north of England to the south. Like the south is more soft and the north is more hard.
Yeah.
I haven't
Probably, yeah,
really spent time in, I don't know, places like Glastonbury,
yeah.
wherever else. Only know Glastonbury.
Hey, hey, I want to ask you about something before we get out of here. I saw a post that you did. I saw you kind of check out like a lot of people do. And then I saw a picture of you saying, I forget what it said, but like kind of like I'm back. Do you remember what I'm talking about last couple of days? And then before we get out of here, why don't the three of us talk about what happened in London with David Icke and however many thousands of people were there. But Rob, what happened? What do you mean by you came back?
I've basically gone through a lot of psychic attacks. I was switched off
Hmm.
2 years ago. I was flying high, I was doing really well, all light, all that. And then the next thing I was just grey. I went just grey, completely grey. I managed to push through most of it and I got away from this place for a little while. But with the push and the drive had gone, it wasn't until that around that time I thought, I'm back now, I'm coming back now. I'm feeling more alive, I'm feeling more passionate, I'm feeling more like I actually want to do something.
Right on.
As many of you know, it's not easy when you're on your own. When that stuff comes in,
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah.
I've got some really good friends through Facebook who've helped me through that, but when you put that phone down or you shut your computer off, you're on your own, and it's not easy. It's really rough. But
But we always seem to make it though. You know, we always seem to make it. I don't know. It's so much going on, including. Did you? I know Robbie because he's over there. Joe Delaney says Liverpool's the center of the universe. Delia, did you see that? Did you see that? That gathering. How do you say that? Trafalgar, whatever it's called.
Trafalgar Square.
Yeah. Delia, did you see David Icke speak?
I didn't see this. I didn't see them speaking necessarily, but I saw a lot of people sharing from that. So I know that what's his name, Matura, was on there on the way there. I saw a lot of people that are in the circle go support that, and the amount of people was basically amplified. And it was funny though that even though that was going on, there was a lot of different protests separately going at the same time in other parts of the world.
I know, man. All over the place. Berlin had over 40,000 people. And who else? Denmark, I think, had it. There was Israel had a big one. But you didn't see a lot of it in any of the mainstream. If you did, it was at the bottom of the page.
Yeah, I don't watch TV. I don't know. It all seems. I knew it was going to kick off. It's going to get more crazy.
Yeah.
The government's not going to be around much longer. Everybody's just going.
Yeah.
I feel a bit like it's good to see everybody together.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, well, do you really understand what you're protesting? I don't think they do. I just think they've gone on this mad crusade to be free, and in a way, the restrictions have woken everybody up to that.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about Trump and people like that in the recent years, and all the bad press they have. But I realised they've kind of woken everybody up at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Trying to wake everybody up at the same time, is that what you said?
Yeah, I think.
I don't think any of them know what the hell they're doing. I think from a higher perspective, we're all trying to wake each other up at the same time, maybe. But I don't think anybody in their human aspect walking this earth has any fucking clue. To be honest with you, I don't care who it is. I mean,
I'm with Lawrence Wendell right now. He's one of the few that actually seems to understand what freedom really is and what it takes and how to get through that.
He's got a hell of a story. He's got a hell of a story.
It's crazy. I think he did it again. I think he walked over the border again.
Did he really?
I think so.
I noticed in the last week the tone of his posts have changed. They've gotten more personal. He talked about his heart being cracked open.
Yeah.
He's a good leading indicator. Well, we're gonna have to head out. Rob, you got any last words, Rob? Thanks for popping in.
No, not really. No. You? Is anybody?
Delia, what about you? What do you got?
I mean, overall, no matter if you're catch the lives again for later today, the long as you're doing the personal inner works, the only thing that we can focus on, regardless of where everything's going with the marches, whatever, the demonstrations, that overall, regardless, the energy there, it's amplified, yes, but that's not the focus. Getting back into self and being amplified with inner self is the only goal that overall humanity really has. So just choose your energy wisely, what you want to engage.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just crazy with all the new energy coming in.
Yeah.
And everything else. I find it really, really strange.
Yeah.
I find there's something way bigger going on underneath the surface, and it just feels like a purification. And I feel like, I got word that the dark influences were leaving last March.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks after, we had the pandemic, and now there's all the protests. It seems like the influences are gone, and people are just going for it without really realising why they feel that way or what they're doing. It's almost like all of a sudden they're just off the leash, just like, wow, let's just fucking go for it.
Not yet. But I think we're headed there. Okay. So we have Isabella Green in 52 minutes. We have Homer will be, let me think.
It's 1:00 my time.
So she's on at 3 Eastern. He's on at 4? Damn it. We'll have to move it back. But anyway, 30 minutes or whatever. I'm confused because I've got New York time on the computer. I know she's on at 3. And I know there's another one. Oh, I'm thinking in terms of, so there's one at 3, one at 7. So he'd come on at 5, 4, 3, 2. 2 o'clock your time. 2, 3, 4. Is that okay? Or 1:30 or 2?
1:30 or 2. Okay, that's no problem. We might have to do his on Zoom.
Oh, his what?
He's trying to figure it out still, but if that doesn't work, he does have Zoom.
On Zoom. Yeah, we'll do Zoom. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then Rob, we'll have to get together again. Maybe we can have a jam session with Tool and your guitar. I got my guitar here, but I haven't put the strings on it yet. And we might pop in later today with Broder Bilal, because he's sent me like 3 messages. He wants to go on. He's always, got a lot of good information. And my advice to everybody, besides if you want to tune in, is hold on to your ass. Don't give up. We always come back.
We've completed a lot. I'm really feeling that last week. A lot's been completed. We finished off.
Yeah, and remember, September is a 9. That's the month of completion. So, all good. All right, I'm gonna sign off with a little bit of a soulogy meditation with my old friend Linda Cullum on her native flute. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Later.
All right.
Yeah.
Todd and Dina, Soldier One Studios with Melinda Cullum. God damn, get off my ass. And she's playing the flute. We're gonna see what we can do with it. That shit's good, right? This is what it's all about, man. It's not about defining anything. It's about, it's a vibration, it's a frequency. And the cool thing about the ascension is you just keep adding more frequencies and vibrations into it. That's what it is. It's not like we're taking anything away. You can't take anything away. Creation can't remove anything that it's created, you know? There's more wisdom in that sound and tone than anything I could say or anybody else could say. Confucius, Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, doesn't matter. You know? That's what we are, man. We're this vibration and frequency. That's who we are. You good? You got it?
No, not yet.